April 16th, regular meeting of the Salina City Commission. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Mars,
Here.
Commissioner Devine,
Here.
Commissioner Joka,
Here.
Commissioner Perney,
Here.
Commissioner Vanier.
Here.
Would you all please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the Citizens Forum, a time set aside for any citizen that would like to address the Commission on any item that is not on the agenda today. Are there any citizens that in the audience that would like to address the Commission? Seeing none, Commissioner Devine has some comments she'd like to make.
Thank you, Mayor Mars. I want to take this opportunity to thank the citizens of Salina for affording me the opportunity to serve as a city commissioner. I want to thank the staff and my fellow commissioners for 6 very interesting and very informative and fun-filled years. I truly appreciate all of the hard work that's done in this community to make it a better place. And I'd also like to thank my family and friends for putting up with me all this time. And I appreciate all of you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Devine. We have a couple changes to our agenda that need to be recognized. We have an item 8.5 that we need to add concerning a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign the pole attachment agreement with Westar Energy. Is there a motion to add that to the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to add item 8.5 to the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Then item 8.3, we need to pull that from the agenda. That'll be brought back on an agenda in the coming weeks. That's 8.3, excuse me. Is there a motion to remove 8.3 from the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we remove item 8.3 from the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is awards and proclamations.
Item 4.1, presentation of plaques of appreciation to outgoing board members. Will Robert Allen, Les Appleby, Diana Dirks, Brenda Farham, Anita Huntley, Robert Miller, Harris Rail, Lynn Ryan, McDowell Still, and Brian Weisel please step forward?
We have plaques for all of you. Les Appleby.
Lynn Ryan, Les Appleby.
Thank you. Diana Dirks. Diana, thank you. Bob?
Thank you, Don.
Thank you. Yes.
I'm using the boards, too.
And Lynn Ryan. Thank you, Lynn. Would any of you like to make a comment or say a word?
It's been a pleasure.
We're good. It's been a lot of fun. We enjoyed it very much.
Thank you very much for your service.
Thank you.
Next item.
Item 4.2, the week of April 20th through the 28th, 2007, as the Week of the Young Child in the City of Salina. Leanne Montoy, Child Care Coordinator, will read the proclamation.
The Week of the Young Child. Whereas the Salina Association for the Education of Young Children and member agencies of the Salina Early Care and Education Task Force of the Community Planning Council, in conjunction with the National Association for the Education of Young Children, is celebrating the Week of the Young Child, April 20th through 28th, 2007. And whereas, by calling attention to the need for high-quality early childhood services for all children and families within our community, these groups hope to improve the quality and availability of such services. And whereas the future of our community depends on the quality of the early childhood experiences provided to young children today. And whereas high-quality early childhood services represent a worthy commitment to our children's future. Donnie Mars, Mayor of the City of Salina, hereby proclaims April 20th through 28th, 2007 as the Week of the Young Child in the City of Salina, and urge all citizens to recognize and support the needs of young children in our community.
Thank you, Leanne. Do you have any activities that are planned for the week?
We do. We have an entire week of activities in today's newspaper. They were advertised.
All right, great. I have a copy of the signed proclamation up here for you.
Great, thank you.
Next item.
Item 4.3, the week of April 15th through the 21st, 2007, as National Volunteer Week in the City of Salina. Jennifer Bixby, Volunteer Coordinator, will read the proclamation.
Whereas experience teaches us that government itself cannot solve all of our community's social problems, and whereas volunteer action, no matter how big or small, can affect positive change in this community, and whereas hundreds of volunteers serving in our community utilize their time and talent daily to make a real difference in the lives of its citizens of all ages, and whereas giving of oneself in service to another empowers both the giver and the recipient, and whereas volunteers are vital to our future as a caring and productive community, and whereas hundreds of volunteers are connected with service opportunities in dozens of Salina area community service organizations each year through the Volunteer Connection, and whereas during this week, all over the nation, volunteers are being recognized for their commitment to service, Donnie D. Mayers, Mayor of Salina, does hereby proclaim April 15th through the 21st as National Volunteer Week in Salina, Kansas, to urge our fellow citizens to volunteer and light the way in our community by volunteering oneself to recognize others who serve, and we can replace disconnection with understanding and compassion.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Do you have activities planned?
We do, in fact, not so much this week. We're kind of looking at our calendar and trying to figure out when a good time with all the other wonderful activities going on in Salina. We do actually have our Serve-a-thon, which encourages people to not only volunteer to do a project, but volunteer, challenge themselves to raise a day of pay in order to support the efforts. And we're working in conjunction with the city to help clean up the Smoky Hill River on May 5th, 2007. So,
Thank you very much.
you.
I have a copy of the signed proclamation for you. Next item on our agenda is public hearings and items scheduled for a certain time.
Item 5.1, public hearing on 2007 special assessment projects. Sub-item 5.1A, second reading ordinance number 07-10383, levying special assessments for improvements.
I will open the public hearing for this, or Mr. Place, give us your staff report first. I guess this is the second reading. Are there changes from the first reading?
No, there's not.
Okay. Any comments? Mr. Place? Not. I'll open the public hearing.
Mayor and Commissioners, Jim Mays, 157 South 7th. We would like to request, this is H&M Investment Group, who owns Lot 2 of this special assessment request. We'd like to request that this be tabled for a week so we can work out some details with Lot 1.
Have you discussed this with the city manager at this point?
Have not. We had been trying to work this out last week with the owner of Lot 1, KNEB Investments. They were supposed to be here this afternoon and finalize some things that did not occur. Inform Mr. Place of the issue probably a half an hour ago, and Mr. Bingston. So we're trying to just see if we can table it for a week and come back, hopefully with both parties agreeing to what's going on.
Any staff comments concerning postponement?
Just going to ask my finance director if he sees any issues with the timeline. I'm not aware of any, and if there aren't, I don't know any reason why we couldn't postpone and allow those conversations to happen.
I would say that a week would probably be the limit.
Yeah. Rod, one question is, could we segregate that item and go ahead and take action on the remaining items, or do you like to keep them packaged?
It'd be better to do them all together.
Okay.
Okay.
If
Any
I,
other public comments during this public hearing?
if I may have got one additional clarification, and you asked if there was a change. Unplatted track number 1 references track 6 for West Grand, changed from an ag deferral to a special assessment. The dollar amount did not change, but pursuant to the annexation agreement, it provided for special assessment.
Okay. Anyone else want to speak at this public hearing? Not, I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission for action.
Mayor Mars, I move that this item be deferred until next regular scheduled session of the City Commission.
The postpone would be the appropriate.
Postpone? Okay.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we postpone the second reading on ordinance 07-10383 until the next meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is the consent agenda.
Item 6.1, approve the minutes of April 9th, 2007.
Mayor Mars, I'd like to move to amend the minutes of April 9th, 2007 City Commission meeting to include authorizing the mayor to sign the plat on item 7.2B, motion 077531. It was inadvertently left out by the motion maker.
Okay. Any other corrections to these minutes?
Needs a second to the amendment.
Is there a second to this amendment? Do we need to vote on the amendment, or can we vote on the approval of the minutes as amended?
I would think in regard to the minutes, it would be appropriate to consider them as amended.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes as amended. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is development business, and we have none today. It moves us on to administration.
Item 8.1, second reading ordinance 07-10384, requesting a change in zoning district classification from RS to PC1 on property addressed as 106 South Holmes Road.
This ordinance was passed on first reading on April 9th, and since that time, no comments have been received. Is there a motion to approve it on second reading?
Mayor Mars, I'd move for approval of ordinance 07-10384 on second reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve ordinance 07-10384 on second reading. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Devine.
Aye.
Commissioner Jelka.
Aye.
Commissioner Perney.
Aye.
Commissioner Vanier.
Aye.
Mayor Mars.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Next item.
Item 8.2, approval of supplemental engineering agreement number 1 for the South 9th Street corridor improvements, project number 06-1579.
Staff report, Mr. Place.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Attached to your packet is supplemental agreement number 1 with Wilson & Company. This will provide the necessary design steps needed to complete design of the South 9th Street from Belmont to Waterwell. The original agreement with Wilson & Company was for a concept study including transportation planning for 1.35 miles of Salina's busiest commercial corridor. Those services included traffic planning and analysis, parkway design, storm drainage design, intersection safety, access control, and aesthetics such as landscaping. The concept plan for Phase 4 and 5 of this project was completed and presented to the Commission at study session in March of 2007. Final design plans and specs for Phase 4 will be developed for an anticipated bid letting of January of 2008. It is hoped that construction for Phase 4 would be completed by November of that same year. Phase 5 plans and specs would be designed to what KDOT refers to as a field check stage, which is approximately 50% complete. Completion of the design and construction of Phase 5 would be at a future date. This contract is written in a cost-plus fixed fee format with a total amount not to exceed $480,000, $480,879,000. The cost includes all direct payroll, direct non-payroll, and overhead costs. The fixed fee is a lump sum amount agreed upon during negotiations to cover any non-reimbursable costs, pre-tax profit, and readiness to serve. This fixed fee does not change regardless of variations in cost. Pre-tax profit, or excuse me, the cost not to exceed is just that, a total contract amount that cannot be exceeded without prior approval and a supplemental agreement with the City Commission. The contract addresses the scope of work, consultants' responsibilities, city responsibilities, time schedule, fee, and general provisions. It is recommended that the City Commission approve supplemental agreement number 1 with Wilson and Company in the amount of $480,879.
Thank you. Questions of staff? Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any public comments concerning this supplemental agreement for project 06-1579 concerning the South 9th Corridor improvements? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the Commission for action.
Mayor Mars, I move approval of supplemental engineering agreement number 1 for the South 9th Street Corridor Improvements Project number 06-1579 with Wilson and Company in the amount of $480,879.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve supplemental agreement number 1 on project 06-1579. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item 8.4, approval of the 2007 Railroad Crossing Improvements Project number 072646.
Staff report, Mr. Frazier.
Mayor and Commissioners, 3 railroad crossing improvement projects have been scheduled within the 2007 CIP program, which includes the locations of Broadway and Dover Drive, West Magnolia Road, and Wayne and 4th Streets. These improvements will replace 2 wooden plank crossings and 1 rubber crossing with concrete panel crossings along with new asphalt approaches at each location. The improvements will provide a smoother crossing for traffic by replacing existing crossings that have deteriorated or are misaligned with rubber planks. The improvements will be providing the concrete crossing panels, which are going to give a lot better ride for the motorist. Union Pacific Railroad has agreed to a cost-sharing plan and has proposed the following split, which is standard and customary for replacement projects on non-mainline sections of track. Also, Salina County has agreed to participate with the cost sharing for the West Magnolia project. Although this location is just outside of the city limits by about 50 feet, it is traveled by approximately 3,500 plus vehicles per day. The plan for all 3 proposed projects is as follows. West Magnolia Road, the estimated cost is $40,000. The split would be UP Railroad, $12,000, City of Salina, $14,000, Salina County, $14,000. Second project is Broadway and Dover Drive, estimated cost $95,000. The proposed split is UP Railroad, $33,250, City of Salina, $61,750. And the third project is Wayne and 4th Streets. Estimated cost is $48,000. The proposed split is UP Railroad, $16,800, and the City of Salina, $31,200. These are estimated costs, and the actual split will be based on what we actually incur as expenses. Sufficient funds are budgeted in the 2007 CIP budget for these 3 proposed replacement projects. Staff recommends the approval of the proposed 2007 Railroad Crossing Improvement Project number 072646 as presented. I'll be happy to answer any of your questions.
Thank you. Questions of staff?
Yes, Mayor Mars. What's the train traffic like on these 3 crossings?
They are considered to be non-mainline tracks. Some of them carry more traffic than others, but they're not heavily used. That's why we have this type of a split. I believe on mainline tracks, it's more of a 50-50 split.
Thank you.
Other questions of staff? Are there any public comments? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission for action.
Mayor Mars, I move that we approve the 2007 Railroad Crossing Improvements Project number 07-2646.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve this 2007 Railroad Crossing Improvement Project 07-2646. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next item.
Item 8.5, Resolution Number 076387, authorizing the mayor to sign a pole attachment agreement between Westar Energy Incorporated.
Staff report, Mr. Office.
Mayor and Commissioners, last week you authorized a $50,000 increase in the 2007 CT sub-CIP budget to allow for us running city-owned fiber between General Services and the Bicentennial Center. We went to work on a plan right after that meeting to get it done by June of this year. One of the first things that we need to do is have Westar do a load study. Load study is they look at each pole to decide if there's room to put it on there and if it'll handle it, et cetera, et cetera. We need to make sure every pole can carry the fiber. In order to do the load study, they need a pole attachment agreement signed. And our attorney says that the pole attachment agreement signed must be by the mayor. And he says the mayor has to have it okayed by the commission, and that is why I stand before you today. This agreement does not require any upfront money, but the load study will cost us money, probably between $3,000 and $4,000, and there will be a very small pole rental fee per year. I have asked for this item to be added to the agenda today because we are on a very short schedule, and I'm worried about not getting it done by July 1, so it saves me from having to come next week. It just saves me a week. Staff does recommend that you adopt resolution number 07-6387, authorizing the mayor to sign the pole attachment agreement between Westar Energy Incorporated and the City of Salina, and I would be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Questions of staff?
Does Westar add poles if they need to?
Yes.
Or do we? Westar does. Westar adds the poles if we don't have enough poles for the fiber?
That's my understanding.
Okay.
They charge us to do that, right?
I'm not for sure I've got a straight answer on that yet.
Okay. You're working on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard yes, I've heard no. Tend to believe yes myself, but we'll see.
Okay.
Okay, well, hurry.
Yeah, right.
Other questions of staff? Thank you. Are there any public comments concerning this resolution for the pole attachment agreement with Westar? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission for action.
Mayor, I'd move that we adopt resolution number 07-6387, authorizing the mayor to sign the pole attachment agreement between Westar Energy and the City of Salina concerning new fiber optic.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution 07-6387. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. That brings us to the next item on our agenda, other business. And under other business, it's the mayor's comments. And starting after today, I won't retire until after I sign all of these things that have been presented to us today. But I will be resigning or retiring from the City Commission today, and the benefits are great. I get my Mondays back. My wife gets me back on weekends when I'm busy. The experience gained they've been many experiences that we've had over the past 4 years, and we've done a lot of things. And as I leave, I acknowledge that what has happened and what has been accomplished has been good for the City of Salina. As I leave, I challenge the citizens of the City of Salina to be involved in the community. I think that's the most important thing that we can ask of them. I said this commission is here to serve you, and we can't serve you unless you're involved. I challenge the new city commissioners to make your decisions based on what you believe is best for the whole community. Some of you have heard me say that if we all agree all the time, then some of us aren't necessary, and I truly believe that the fact that we don't always agree all the time doesn't mean the city manager hasn't done his job. It just means that we represent the citizens of Salina, and not all of them agree all the time either, so the city commission probably shouldn't as well. I challenge the city staff and the employees to keep trying to be the best you can be at what you do every day, and to never lose sight of the citizens that you serve. it's very easy for them to pick apart the things you don't do right and overlook all the things that you do right. But I've learned over the last 4 years that there's definitely a lot of contact with the citizens from the city staff and the city employees every day, and probably 99% of that contact is done and with the proper satisfaction. It's the 1% that we continue to strive to improve, which we probably will never ever achieve. I think that I mentioned my wife and family, the compromise that they've had to make to allow me to serve the City Commission and also be mayor has been great, and they're looking forward to having me back, and I'm looking forward to that as well. You know, I want to also thank my staff at DMA Architects who have covered for me significantly over the past 4 years. The work that they do allows me to continue to be here and to serve the city, and Sally and Justin are greatly appreciated. I would also like to thank Mr. Gage and Mr. Bingston for their work and their assistance and for their service to the commission and also to the city, and their able assistance, especially LaDonna and Nancy, help keep us city commissioners out of trouble and keep us on track when we need to do some things. So with that, I thank you.
Will Lucy Larson, Aaron Peck, and Abner Perney please come forward? See you around.
See ya.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and faithfully discharge the duties
and faithfully discharge the duties
of the Office of City Commissioner
of the Office of City Commissioner
and for the City of Salina, Kansas.
And for the city of Salina, Kansas.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I will now call the organizational meeting of April 16, 2007 to order and call roll. Commissioner Jelka?
Here.
Commissioner Larson?
Here.
Commissioner Peck?
Here.
Commissioner Perney?
Here.
Commissioner Vanier?
Here.
I will now accept nominations for mayor and chairman of Board of Commissioners.
I would move Alan Jilka to become mayor and chairman of the Board of Commissioners.
Second, and I'd like to make a historical comment. In reading the history of our mayors on the wall up here, there's been only one mayor that served 3 terms, and that was C.R. Underwood. He stretched his 3 mayoral terms over 27 years. Alan Jilka will be the only the second person in our history to serve 3 terms as mayor. And I did second his nomination, didn't I?
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. I will now accept nominations for acting mayor and vice chairman of the Board of Commissioners.
I would like to nominate John Vanier as vice mayor and chairman of the Board of Commissioners.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Mayor Jelka will now present a plaque appreciation to outgoing Commissioner Debbie Devine.
Mayor Devine, I know that when you moved to this city some 20 years ago, you certainly adopted the city as your own. And your time on the City Commission, you served with a passion every day that engaged everybody that worked with you. And on behalf of all the citizens, I want to present this token of appreciation for your time of service on the City Commission.
Thank you, Mayor Jelka. Appreciate it. Mayor Jelka will now present a plaque appreciation and gavel to Donnie D. Mars for his term as mayor and city commissioner.
Mayor Mars, someone that knows you well, told me that you are what you are, and what you are is someone who is going to have some very big shoes to fill. You certainly brought a lot of special talents and expertise to the commission that benefited your colleagues and your fellow citizens, and I know that service is very much a part of you, and you will no doubt find other ways to serve your community in the future. And so, having said that, I want to present you with this token of appreciation on behalf of the citizens for your 4 years of service on the commission. You're going to need both arms here. This plaque is in recognition of service rendered as mayor of the city of Salina from April 17th, 2006 to April 16th of 2007, and we'd also like to present you with the gavel that you used over the course of that year. There you go.
We will now have comments from our new mayor, Jelka.
Citizens of Salina, Mr. Gage and all city employees, fellow city commissioners, and family and friends. It is indeed a humbling honor to again have the opportunity to sit in this chair. One's first thoughts when taking this seat are to thank those responsible for putting one here. And it'd take too long to mention everyone, but I especially want to thank Monty Shadwick, Steve Hansen, and the numerous citizens who encouraged me to run again in the midst of all the changes at City Hall in the early part of 2005. I'm glad I did. And I also want to thank my parents, all the employees at Joke Furniture, and Mike Martin and his family for all their assistance. Obviously, some things change over time. And as I sit here today, I'm aware of some special changes that this day brings. After a decade on the City Commission, I'm suddenly no longer its youngest member. And along those lines, I want to welcome Commissioner Peck to the Commission. I look forward to working with you. Also, for the past 10 years, I've been the only Spanish speaker in this group. That has changed, as Spanish is one of the many attributes that Commissioner Larson will bring to the Commission. And it's also my pleasure to welcome you.
Gracias.
I also appreciate the chance to continue to serve with the two holdovers from the last Commission. I certainly respect the insights and financial expertise that Commissioner Vanier brings to the Commission. And it's a pleasure Also, to welcome back our designated loose cannon, Commissioner Perney. New commissioners should not be fooled by his sense of humor. He's very knowledgeable, comes to meetings each week thoroughly prepared, and is an invaluable colleague. Together we face many challenges as we chart the future course of our city. And no issue is more pressing than that of water. In my first campaign, the main issue was water, too much of it, as in street flooding. We successfully got a handle on those problems. In the meantime, the water shortages that have migrated east across our state arrived in Salina last summer. All of us in city government were caught off guard last July when the Smoky Hill River practically dried up. But whether we like it or not, water quantity issues are here to stay. To deal with these new problems, we must adopt conservation initiatives. We started with the adoption of a water policy last Monday, and additional details will be forthcoming. More than anything, our main purpose is to establish a mindset of conservation. Attitude is, of course, important in anything we do, individually or collectively. But we shouldn't be under any illusion that local conservation efforts can have a major effect on the problem. More than 85% of water usage in Kansas goes toward agricultural uses. For example, in 2005, according to State Division of Water Resources statistics, in Salina County we pumped an average of 11.8 million gallons of water per day. Finney County, in the western part of the state, a county with less than half the population of our own, pumped an average of 247.6 million gallons of water a day. At some point, we need to question the wisdom of federal policies that subsidize agricultural interests to grow more irrigation-intensive crops. And corn, for example, is increasingly shipped to subsidized water-intensive ethanol plants. We should not be using more water than can be naturally replenished in our environment. My point is that real solutions to the problems ultimately must come from the federal and state levels. It is our job to communicate with our state and federal legislators and agencies, urge them to take action to deal with these issues, and offer our cooperation. We don't want to be in a position of fighting with other municipalities over water, and recognize the necessity of intervention at higher levels of government to help us coordinate our efforts. And we recognize the importance of the agricultural economy in our state, not the least of which is seen daily on our dinner plates. We are all truly in this together. The other half of our water problems in Salina have to do with the contamination at the old Schilling Air Force Base. We've been dealing with this problem during most of my time on the Commission. For the first few years, we organized all the affected entities and tried to work quietly with the Corps of Engineers. When that approach yielded little in the area of results, we felt compelled to publicize the situation and ask our elected federal representatives to put pressure on the Corps. Since a fall 2005 meeting with the head of the Corps in this region and our local representatives, we've seen more movement on this issue. I have no qualms with the current Corps commander and project director. It would seem that their predecessors had tried to solve the problem by walking away from it. At the moment, plenty of testing is funded through next year. But to date, there is still no actual remediation scheduled. And per their custom, leadership in the Corps will be rotated again this summer, as it is every 3 years, leaving us to re-educate new leadership on this long-standing local issue. It is indeed frustrating to have to struggle so much to get our own federal government, one that we all support with our taxes, to clean up the serious environmental hazards that they left to us when they closed the air base. We certainly don't want to have to undertake a multi-million-dollar environmental cleanup ourselves and then go to the time and expense of suing the federal government to get our money back. Our only option is to continue to utilize all the means at our disposal to encourage our federal officials to push the Corps to do its job. Our current elected federal officials have been very helpful, and we trust that their assistance will be ongoing. Another issue that the Commission will have to deal with in the coming years will be that of what to do with the Oakdale-Kenwood Park area. Part of this issue is in fact simple. The county should turn over the title for Oakdale Park to the city, which has maintained it since the previous lease expired in 1974. There's no legitimate reason for conflict in this regard. The Kenwood Park area is admittedly much more complicated. In the near future, it will be necessary for the city to replace its aging public swimming pool. We also will continue to invest in our Bicentennial Center to maintain and enhance its capacity to serve the various convention and entertainment needs of our region. The county, if they decide that there's a viable economic reason for doing so in the 21st century, could decide to renovate or enhance their current expo facilities. If so, we would certainly wish to cooperate with the county to master plan the Kenwood area. The swimming pool, for example, could be moved to free up more space for expo-related activities. The Bicentennial Center and Expo Centers should be able to work together in complementary fashion. We do not need two tax-supported convention facilities in different parts of town competing for subsidies from two entities of local government funded by largely the same group of taxpayers. To reiterate, the City Commission will want to work with our county counterparts to turn the Kenwood area into an asset for all our citizens. The preceding matters touch on the area of city-county relations, and I find it necessary to say a few words about these issues. I do so obviously on behalf of city taxpayers who make up 85% of county residents and who pay the vast majority of taxes that fund county government. There's lots of talk of consolidation at both the local and state levels, but little consensus on how to proceed. But surely some consolidation is needed. The abundance of local government entities in Kansas is to some degree an albatross around taxpayers' necks. We have nearly twice as many counties in our state as in California. The original logic was to have a county seat within a day's horseback ride of every resident. That has changed with the advent of first the telephone, then the automobile, computers, and now the internet. Any status quo is usually defended, even fanatically so, by individuals or interests who perceive, whether based in reality or not, that they have something to lose. 3 points need to be made about the consolidation discussion. First, we should be willing to work with the League of Women Voters and any other entities that want to study the structure of how we deliver local government services. Government can't always function like a business because it's government, but more often it should. We should always be open to exploring ways to gain greater efficiencies in serving our citizens. Secondly, as city government, we need to do a better job educating our citizens to the fact that they are all county residents and that they support both city and county governments with their taxes. Duplication of services and archaic practices hit every city taxpayer in the pocketbook. Thirdly, I don't assume that full city-county consolidation is necessarily the solution. County government is a local extension of the state government, with specific responsibilities entrusted to it. Our biggest need is for changes that will allow a wider and more representative group of people to run for the County Commission. In order to attract more capable individuals, the County Commission should meet 1 day a week, as does the City Commission, be paid a token salary, and function like a board of directors, leaving day-to-day matters in the hands of professional administrators. Now, there might be an individual county commissioner that will interpret these comments as a personal attack. They're not intended that way. These are meant as a commentary on the county system, a system designed for the 19th century. It, like our system of city government designed in the early 20th century, needs to be updated and adapted to deal with the challenges of a 21st century. As I look around Salina today, reasons for optimism towards the future abound. We are on the cusp of the 50,000 population benchmark, which we hope to reach in the next census. The city, the county, and our Chamber of Commerce are all currently working with each other to revise their comprehensive plans. These efforts should help us to reach that population goal. Public art is beginning to sprinkle our landscapes, a sign of our community spirit. A new public art policy has been put in place to ensure that wide community input goes into the development of new such projects. The result will hopefully be an increased sense of community ownership and pride in future such endeavors. The cultural environment in Salina is second to none for a city our size, and we continue to work to improve our offerings in this area. Our downtown is well on its way to becoming the vibrant arts and entertainment district that we hoped for a decade ago. Such a district requires restaurants, bars, coffee shops, places for people to congregate before and after the show. I hope that we can eliminate obstacles and successfully bring more such businesses to the historic center of our city, continuing its revitalization. I want to pledge to all of our citizens my best efforts to represent Salina as your mayor in the coming year. We have many challenges and opportunities. As we prepare for Salina's 150th birthday next year, let us renew the optimistic pioneer spirit of Colonel Phillips. Let's stay focused on our positive attributes. We have an excellent staff. We have an outstanding representative group of the community serving on the City Commission. Much can be accomplished working together. I look forward to working with all of you. Thank you. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 We are adjourned.